Assalamualaikum and welcome to the Catering Circle Season 2. This is where it all happens and we are on a journey to find the best caterers here in the UK. And as you know, the business conference takes place next year, 2018, and I can assure you everyone wants that winning ticket. And if you missed last episode, here's a recap. And welcome to Catering Circle Season 2.
Episode 10. Competition and Sustainability. In a highly competitive business landscape, prepare for war with innovation, marketing, branding, continuous learning and development, wow factors, and oomph. Market and competition ignorance guarantee restaurants' failure. Set your menu prices carefully. Keep food costs under control. Strike the right market price to keep customers coming back. Choose a competitive advantage, focusing on 3 key areas: quality, price, service. Excite your customers. Be special in your customers' eyes. Have a unique selling proposition and set your business apart. USP should describe one or more of the following: price, quality offered, exclusivity, service, any other aspect of your business that sets it apart from the competition. You have known your weapons for competitive warfare. Equip yourself for war.
I'll be looking for how they're sustaining their business.
What have they learned from their research, and what is their vision to be different, to have a unique selling point?
How are we going to make our brand? Our chef make this brand, especially the fresh food. And nowadays, if you look at the hygiene rating as well.
I always research on my curries.
Spending money with me earns you things back, which is where I keep my customer retention.
I didn't target my profit, I always targeted my quality.
You have to cut other third parties to take the percentage. Basically, if you do work with your own website, you don't have to pay 15% or 10%.
If you give them good food, customers will be back.
All the restaurants were pretty similar, and we were trying to then create a new menu that had some things that no one else had.
We make things happen, and that's what we do for our clients.
We're going to work very hard to make your business a success, but it's much even harder to be able to keep it and to stay at the level that you have reached.
What I did see, I saw a couple of some really innovative thinking, and they're thinking outside the box.
It's not just about the price of the product. They're looking for more than that, for you to make sure you retain your customers.
Supermarkets,
So
they're killing us in one way, but they're failing to provide the fresh food, which we are doing. So we have to market that as well.
One business is word of mouth, is village, is very important. Then another one is city. Your branding is how you promote your business.
Main important is in the takeaway is the ethos. If you don't have an ethos, you can't track your customer.
The idea behind what I'm doing is trying to entice the customers, not just with the charisma, but also with the food, the menu status, which is fresh, clean and enticing, and with signature dishes that you won't find anywhere else.
Customer middle class ta beshi, ton oi hishabe target kore ami price ta fixing kori.
I do a midweek special, which they can get a 4-course meal for a very reasonable price, and my customer really appreciate it.
If your restaurant fresh, clean and nice, they will be back.
If somebody comes in, say it's their birthday or something, then we tend to throw in like a cake with a bigger fountain sparkler or something, because it makes all the difference.
It's a very long menu. So customers as well get confused, and the restaurateur has to have a bigger storage area to stock all the items and everything.
Yes, it's about their food, but no one's actually spoke about how they monitor the response or the feedback they get from customers.
What is the operational control? How that is linked to menu policy and return on investment?
Making sure the staff know everything that needs to be done in order to make sure the customer gets what they want.
Every business should have its own target GP, and you should structure your prices on your menu based on that, not based on what's next door.
If we save money on buying, we'll make more profit on selling.
The way in which we increase GDP is looking clearly at the ways that we are going to monitor how much we spend on our raw costs and then developing that and looking at the profit margin.
Electricity, we always use the low bulb energy, the LED.
So I decided to shut my restaurant and we do an evening only, which save a lot of money for the staff and other things like bills and things.
It's really important to have a good relationship with our suppliers, and that's something that we have, and because of that I was able to source like cheap prices elsewhere and then negotiate them same prices with our current suppliers.
And the results are Bombay Express and Taj Tandoori. There you have it. That was last episode's recap. For those of you that missed it, don't forget you can catch up via the YouTube link for Channel S. And of course, you can also interact with this live show by tweeting us at Catering Circle, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is you like doing. Get in touch and let us know of your questions, and I will definitely pass them on or read them out during the show. I'm Nadia Ali, your host for this evening, and with me I have 3 very strong judges and 8 very special judges here today to literally find the 2 most talented participants in this episode that's going to be getting the ticket to the finals to participate in the Business Conference 2018. So let's go and meet our 3 very strong judges. Firstly, I have with me back again Mr. MD Abdul Haq. Welcome back. He is, of course, the Vice Chairman of Channel S Television, IT media specialist and a successful businessman, founder of Catering Circle, and let's just say you're the man behind this, right? That's it. You made this happen. Well. Now, you know, we've got 2 more shows left. Well, actually 1 more after this show. It's been a huge, huge success. How has the platform been for the catering industry?
Well, I mean, we're just a media platform, so our job is really to highlight the short-time solutions or even solutions that can be implemented based on the expert. And if, you know, there are 12 different problems we are highlighting, and we got those problems are from thousands of interviews from our roadshows, and those are the 12 problems. If we can solve them, we're almost there. If our viewers or the restaurant owner even implement 20% of the solution, they will be in the next level. Let's put it this way.
And I think they are, right? Because we've had some great feedback from the catering industry and just audience watching at home and picking up the tips, especially from the judges that we have here and, of course, the participants. You know, they've been a great, great inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I always say just start doing small changes. You know, something doesn't cost you a fortune. For example, you can do start changing your menu, you know, put some signature dish, try it out, you know, that kind of thing. You can do marketing, you know. We are here to brand the right product, and anyone who's successful, we want to highlight that for this episode especially.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to financial planning, but we'll talk about that later. I don't want to give it all away. Right next to him, I have a very beautiful lady right there, Hulya Erdal. Welcome to the show. Now, you're a chef and educator. You're a regular judge on many food shows, including the freeform sector, which is great. And you've had many TV appearances on the BBC, starting with Channel 4, so many TV appearances. And you're here today, and you're also a Master Craftsman member of the Craft Guilds of Chef. So thank you for joining us. Pleasure. It's great to have your expertise. What would you like to say to the aspiring chefs that are watching from home today?
Oh gosh, well, be true to your heart. That's what I would always say. Just be honest.
I thought it'd be true to your stomach.
Well, there is that as well. Be true to the stomach of your customers. I think that's what it is. But be true to your heart. Cook with passion and love. Cook what you love, what you want, because that will always show up in the food.
Excellent. Thank you so much for those kind words. And right next to her, we have one of my favorite people in the community, actually. Am I allowed to say that? Good thing I'm not participating in this competition. I have Mr. Pasha Kontakar. Now, he's the ex-president of Bangladeshi Caterers Association, BCA, multi-outlet operator. You're a huge TV personality. Community activist, Labour Party activist, and you know, you've worked as the CLP secretary of the party, and you've just made such a huge contribution in the curry sector, what would you like to, actually, no, let's not say what would you like to say. What would you like to bring to the show today for us?
Nadia, well, I proud myself that I'm a part of this family catering industry for the last 38 years.
You look very young, Uncle.
Oh, thank you. I've been a waiter for the last 38 years. My appeal to the, I mean, like, if you say what I would like to see, I would like to see what the young lady says, do from the heart, save this industry. This is the time, it's very difficult. I was just saying to Mr. Huck about their contribution towards this industry doing this catering circle show. Everybody, the catering industry is the backbone for British Bangladeshi community. And we all got to do something for this industry. Absolutely. And this is the time to give something for this industry. To tell the mainstream, look, this is not our job. Not only our job to save this industry. You have to come because you are millions of curry lovers.
When you say mainstream, what do you mean by that?
I'm talking about the so-called politician.
The government.
I'm sorry, so-called politician. Government. Okay. Well, politician. Yes. You know, the politician always got a problem with their memory, with their promise and delivery. But what I was saying that if we all, I mean, like these, Mr. Huck, all the other people in the catering circle has done a brilliant job. Many things people are following from your show, and they are benefited. They talk to me directly. They didn't know about it. They always say, oh, staff crisis killing us. Many things behind it killing us. And we know from the catering circle shows. But my request to all caterers, workers, and the individuals, come forward. This is the time to save this industry. Time is really fragile times. Yeah. And you are doing a great job as well. Thank you
very much. I'll pay you later for that. Moving on. Last week, it was all about competition and sustainability. And as our judges have mentioned, everything goes into play when it comes to a business, especially in the catering industry. But one thing that is probably the most important thing is financial planning. Here's today's topic, and here's a review over it.
Episode 11, Financial Planning. Exploring the best model to prepare a comprehensive, professional and convincing financial section for a restaurant business plan. Learn from other people's mistakes. It's not just about serving great food. You will need to understand marketing, HR, finance, the law, etc. How much profit should I expect to make? A well-run restaurant or cafe typically make between 5% and 8% profit. Typical after-tax sales are distributed as follows. Food, 30%, insurance and legal, 3%, waste, 1%, bank payments and charges, 5%, maintenance, 3%, labour, 25%, marketing, 3%, utilities, 3%, rent and rates, 14%, disposables and crockery, 5%. That just leaves 8% profit. How to decide on a concept. The USP. What is going to be your USP? Unique sales position. Inspiration. Take a look at what the big chain restaurants do. Always compete on great service. You need to consider the following factors when choosing a location. Visibility and passing traffic, foot and car. Parking. Demographics. Potential for outdoor seating. Zoning. Refurbishment required. Freehold or leasehold. Competition. Complementary businesses located close by. Designing your restaurant. If you have the budget, use an interior designer. Make sure they have experience designing restaurants and have a portfolio of their work to show you. Designing the menu. What dishes should you offer and what should you skip? Avoid food fads on your restaurant menu. Update your menu periodically and remove items that are not selling. Food cost, selling price and popularity of each menu item should be assessed regularly. Costs of setting up a restaurant. Keep your startup costs as low as possible. Associated with startup costs is finding reliable suppliers. Raising finance. You need to be prepared with a business plan and a realistic breakdown of costs, including startup costs, fixed and variable operating costs. Rent is fixed, staff costs are variable. Forecasted number of covers and average spend. Best and worst case scenario. Analysis of the likely gross profit on food and wine. Analysis of your likely break-even point. A marketing and sales plan. A plan of source of funding. A budgeted monthly profit and loss and forecasted cash flow analysis. Achieving financial goals for your restaurant. The top concerns are: how do I increase sales and reduce cost? What will be the impact of food cost on my business? Budgeting. Should I utilize a solid, up-to-date budget? Does my budget enable me to maintain consistent profitability? Do I hold my management team accountable to help control prime costs on a daily or weekly basis? Menu engineering. Should I take the time to engineer my menu? Can I actively identify the relationship between the sales and profitability of each item on my menu? Do I currently cost out my recipes? Am I able to recognize when product price fluctuations have affected my margins? Do I understand how menu item sales impacts my overall food cost week to week? Inventory. Should I perform weekly inventory? Do I believe inventory involves more than simply counting product? Do I know the value of my inventory? Are my financials accurate? Do I want to save thousands of pounds? Weekly financials. Is there a benefit to weekly financials? Do I use weekly reporting to analyze sales and costs to better manage my cash flow? Do I feel like I'm leaving any profits on the table at the end of the week, month or year? Do I forecast weekly my sales, labor and spending? Am I able to see an accurate P&L 1 week after the month ends? POS integration. Does my POS system currently integrate with an accounting system? Does your system enable you to evaluate various data points? Do you see the benefit of eliminating countless hours hand keying in data? Would you benefit from a system that allows you to compare your sales and labor performance on a daily or weekly basis? Could you use a system that is essentially a one-stop shop for POS integration, enterprise reporting and weekly financials? Yes. It's necessary to utilize an integrated system that will allow me to focus on food, not finances. Be passionate about your business. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs.
There you have it. It's all about financial planning, and if you're watching at home and you're a restaurateur yourself, then you definitely need to stay with us for the next few hours, because we are about to give you the best advice you can ever find. Because with me I have special judges, and actually I'm super excited about today's special judges, because they are all very talented, and they come from that specialist area. So when it comes to financial services, to financial planning, to budgeting with regards to your business, then these are the people that can definitely help you. So let me introduce you to my special judges this week. First of all, I have right at the beginning, I have Mr. Abdul Malik, Director of Bluestone Cover and Commercial Insurance Expert. Thank you so much and welcome to the show. We will speak to you a bit later on, but let me just introduce everybody firstly. Next up, I have Mr. Iqbal Hussain, a management accountant. Thank you for joining us. So those of you that are watching, or if you're here today, if you want some free advice, then you're in the right place. I'm kidding. And right next to him, I have Mr. Shubert Ahmed, a corporate financial analysis. Thank you so much for joining us. Next to him, we have Cedric Salvadori. Did I get that right? Brilliant. Right on point. He is the commercial finance broker, expert in workplace pension. Thank you so much for joining us. We definitely need your expertise. Next up, do I really need to introduce you? Do I? But I still will. Anyway, actually, both of you guys, a very well-known face in the community, Dr. Sanwar Chowdhury, Chartered Accountant. Now, you run a number of successful businesses, starting from property businesses to accountancy firms, and now you've got accountancy firms in Bangladesh, probably one of the biggest accountancy firms within the Bangladeshi origin. I don't know if that's correct, but I'm pretty sure it says here. So it's great to have you here, and we're looking forward to hear your expertise. And right next to you, we have a very well-known man. Now, you've made it, you've made things happen, and actually, am I allowed to say you've made yourself to be one of the first millionaires? But within the Bangladeshi community. Oh, I've just put him on the spot. Mr. Kamra Ali, accountant and property tax and finance expert, managing director of Apex Accountants. Now, you're both in competition at the moment. I like the fact that you're sitting together. I hope you're friends.
We're best friends.
Best friends, okay, that's it. You got to keep your enemies closer. Yeah. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. Moving on, we have Mr. Shajanur Raja, award-winning multi-cuisine operator and community activist. Oh, sorry, I do apologise. We have Mr. M.A. Mukit Mia, the CEO of Simple and Smart Insurance Services. Thank you for joining us. And right next to him, we have Mr. Shajanur Raja, the award-winning multi-cuisine operator and community activist, Welsh Curry House of the Year in 2007 and North Wales Curry House in 2010. Did you bring some curry for us? Oh no, that's not fair. But anyway, we will be speaking to our special judges a bit later on. But right now, what I'm super excited about is our participants. Let's go check out our participants. Apologies from Cinnamon, Red Indian and Buffalo Grill. Unfortunately, they could not make it to the show today. However, we still have very, very talented 5 participants that will be participating in today's competition. So let's get started. Here's round 1. Round 1 is all about financial planning and budgeting, and we want to hear your success stories on this. And I've got to say, you only have 120 seconds, so you've got to make it super quick. So first up, I have Bengal Lancer. I have Mohidur Rahman. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine.
Are you ready for this?
Yes, please.
Yep, all geared up. Yes?
Yes.
Are you wearing your uniform? Love it. Brilliant. Excellent. Yeah. That's what we like. We like advertising right here on the show. So you've been watching our show, clearly.
Yes, of course, clearly.
Brilliant. Excellent. So you know how it runs. First round, you have 120 seconds to talk about your success stories, but your success story today has to be around your financial budgeting. So how do you budget? What have you done? How has it worked for you? And what are your success stories around this? Is that clear?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So you ready?
Yes.
Your 120 seconds start now.
First of all, I say Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. And again, thanks for inviting for talent show, catering circle. I thank for everyone. Actually, our success story is everyone says success life. Everyone says everyone life success. Our restaurant, I represent for my restaurant for the Bengal Lancer as a Kentish Town. Actually, this is restaurant for 1984. Is the founder is my brother is Akram Ali. I am joined this 3.5 years is together this partnership business. Well, our restaurant have especially have some dishes for only for our restaurant, never find anywhere. And our restaurant have good achievement is nut free, allergic free. The main thing where we focus this, and we expect our old customers humbly. And my success actually, I am now newcomer for Indian restaurant. I am the chef experience 13 years.
Excellent.
Before I work at the French restaurant, is here is chef 3.5 years.
Can I stop you there if you don't mind? If you feel comfortable, you can speak in any language you want. So if I ask you a question around budgeting, how has your your restaurant being successful? How do you have a business plan? Do you do budgeting?
No, you have business plan.
Okay.
Yes, our we have business plan. For moment is this industry is very crisis. For very hard for this is success for after this budget.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop you because your time's up. But well done. Thank you very, very much for that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next up from Rajgate, I have Mr. Imtiaz Khan. Imtiaz, are you ready for this?
Let's do this.
Excellent. All right, so your 120 seconds start now.
Okay, so when it comes to budgeting and financial planning, I think the first place that my father, who is the real successor of these businesses, he starts off with a goal. He says, what are we going to try to achieve? Like, there's no point just going into a business and say, let's make some money. His goal is to always establish the brand. And one thing I've seen him do is say, if I'm going to establish this brand, how am I going to get there? And he always says the risk factors. Well, there's a competitor there, he's selling this. There's another competitor selling this. The supply is too expensive here. One thing I really liked about his style is negotiating. When it comes to cash flow management, he's always negotiating. Like, I went on holiday last week, and I see him negotiating with a supplier. It's like, you know, would you ship this to England? And I'm like, Dad, calm down. Like, we're having a holiday. So he's really got that passion to say, you know what, I'm going to find any way possible to save money to make sure that I get the most profitability for his business. One thing he's done is he started in 1983, started in the kitchen, and then over time he started managing his own businesses. When he first started, it started off with getting a loan, and nowadays he started off with a partnership with his colleagues. And the reason why he's done that is because he feels that it's distributing in the risk factor. You know, we're sharing the costs, we're sharing the expertise. You know, he's got over 25 years expertise, and so does his other colleagues. Another really great thing I like what he's done is he's kept a good relationship with his estate agents. He's made sure that with the company that he works for, that he gets the best property, and make sure, and then he gets the great advice as well, which I really love how he's done that. That's why he's reduced his cost when it comes to rent, and he's never had any issue with rent costs because it's been so low for him. And nowadays it's really expensive. And one of the main things that he does is when it comes to budgeting, he has his daily costs, but he has his contingency plan. He says, okay, should this happen, well, what's my backup plan? Because you know what, the reality is, in 2008, my dad did fail when the recession kicked in.
I'm going to let you finish this sentence because...
Okay, he failed, and then he learned from his mistake. He said, okay, well, going forward, I'm not going to make this mistake again. Bam. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Basil Spice. I have Mr. Raju Raman, and of course his brother.
Sadi Raman.
Well, you're just gonna be modelling for him. There you are. So you're wearing the Basil Spice.
This is the winter fleece.
The winter fleece. Okay, so anyone that wants to order the winter fleece, you are welcome to do that. You can have a Basil Spice winter fleece. Raju, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Let's bring you forward. So I want you to talk about your financial budgeting and your success stories around that with regards to your restaurant. Your time starts now.
Okay, so we are very, very new to the industry. We've been involved in the past 1.5 years. It was a family-owned business for the past 4 years. My dad originally bought the business with partners. Didn't go quite well, so we've basically got more involved. Instantly, our strengths, we are both designers. I teach design at university, so that was one of our strengths that we wanted to make sure that we can push forward as much as possible and ensure that we can establish our business and brand within the community that it is. Do you want to say? Yeah. We wanted to establish and make the most of our space. Go on. We wanted to establish our weaknesses and our strengths straight away. So one of the weaknesses that we had at the time was branding was a poor, very, very poor situation at the restaurant at the time. We didn't make the most of social media. We didn't make the most of our website. We didn't make the most of our promotional material. So we wanted to ensure that we invested as cheap as possible money into our branding and our marketing and ensure that it gets out to the wider community. Second issue was there was a number of contracts with utility companies and so on and suppliers, and we weren't getting the best prices. So we instantly slashed these issues that we had and tried to search for the best prices. And this is something that we've continuously done for the past year and a half. Even to just yesterday, I've actually signed another contract with another company to supply us with a better phone line. It's as small as that. It's £2 or £3 is a massive thing for us, and we need to ensure that we can cut as many expenses as possible. Do you want to say?
No, that's...
The other thing was we also established what our community was. We're based in Basildon in Essex. We're from London. We're seeing all these amazing restaurants, all these amazing organisations that are doing really well, and we want to establish something around there. We realised that what we wanted to do, or what we were faced by, it wasn't working. We thought it would work in Basildon, but it doesn't necessarily work. So we had to adapt accordingly. In the first couple of months, we've done loads of things that might have worked in London, but not necessarily in Essex.
Can I let you finish this sentence?
But yeah, we're constantly adapting, constantly cutting expenses, constantly. My father always says that you don't make profit from how much you're selling things, it's about how much you're buying things at.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. There you have it. That was a nice little plug right there for you. Go follow them on Instagram, Basil Spice. Let's go check out how they've actually managed to do that very cheap. I'm intrigued by that. Next up, we have from Raj Garden, MD Sidko Rahman. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you very much.
Ready for it?
Yes.
Excellent. Your 120-second start now.
Okay, right. I'm from Luton actually, but my business is in Watford, Bushy, and I've been trading there for the last 20 years. But my business, Indian restaurant business, has been for the last 27 years. I opened my first restaurant in Oxy, 1990. And from there, then I opened the second one, and it was very established. My goal is, first is my financial planning is very important. Second is the environment, cleanness, service, and quality. So we've been following all this for the last 27 years, and we've been quite success. And always you get feedback from the customer for comment and suggestion, which is years back we didn't have any, all this upgrade stuff. So we used to give all the comment and suggestion and get feedback, and we used to have a lot of the staff meeting every month, and we used to get feedback to the customer and give them all the up-to-date, and this is how we used to do our business. So,
is there anything else you want to add?
Well, the success is been doing through the business, which is make sure the business has been running perfectly with the cost effectively, and staff management is very important. And
when you say cost effective, how?
Buying staff and selling. I mean, obviously you have to buy the staff cheaply to make profit when you're selling it. Not like cheap stuff, which is not very good ones, but a good. Make sure your suppliers are giving a good price, and also some the chef has to be very precisely to run the business, and your chef is very important.
Excellent. And let's just touch on planning your menu, because you talked about buying things cheaper. So when you plan your menu, how do you do that?
Right, menu obviously so it has to be reasonable price. So and well, the buying is one thing, and pricing is a different thing on the menu. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right on point. You just finished your time. Thank you very much. Last but not least, we have from the restaurant Montaz, we have Mr. Ziaur Chaudhry Jubair. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Excellent. Are you ready for this?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum assalam. Your 120-second start now.
I think Montaz Newmarket, that's where we're from. That's our kind of flagship restaurant. We've been through, myself, been through 5 restaurants, opened restaurants along the line and stuff like that. But this one was special to us because I think we wanted to create something different. So the first thing we went to an interior designer and we said we want to be on the map. So on the map as in my brief to him was, first thing I want is a timeless design. So if I know if this doesn't work out in 5 years' time, at least I've got a design where I don't have to change it every year or 2 years or something like that. So even we opened 8 years ago, we've still got a design that sustains us now. So the design and the branding was the most important thing. Second thing was my chef. the brief was with the chef. We hired a chef that worked with my father a long time ago. So we brought him in and said, our main important thing is to keep the cost low of the kitchen. So the cost low of the kitchen in terms of food costs, staffing, operations, everything else. So the big gravy pot, how do I get rid of the big gravy pot? You know, this is my first thing to you as a chef, you know. So that's the plan we worked on. So his few things that he worked on was, if I get a whole chicken, how much cost am I going to get out of that, you know? So using the wings, using the legs, using the niblets, using this, using every item of the chicken. If I buy it for £3.50, I need to sell it for £35. So everything was budgeted in. So my expertise is front of house, so I use expertise in different places. So we had an interior designer for the restaurant who was the expert in the, you know, how to. So he told me, we had a doorway, and he said to me, you know what, you need to change this doorway. It's a glass box, and it's going to cost you £5,000. I said, £5,000? Why am I going to spend £5,000 on a doorway? He said, if you drive past your restaurant, if you see a glass doorway, fantastic doorway and everything, how many people will see it straight away rather than seeing two closed doors which you can't see inside? So that made a whole, which I learned is the branding, the look of your restaurant is so important, and the chef in the costing is so important.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well done. So there you have it, our 5 participants for this episode around financial planning. So much more to come up, and I can tell you right now, I'm pretty sure the judges are feeling the heat because every single participant did really, really well. I don't even know how you're going to be judging, and we are going to be losing 1 participant in each round. However, round 1 is complete. We shall move on to round 2, but after a short break. Stand by. Oh, right, I think we were having way too much fun during this break. This is what happens in the live shows when you're having too much fun, when you're gossiping away. You always forget that you're actually on a live show. Now, today's show has been probably one of the most exciting ones, actually, because we've got some great judges in-house today, and they're going to be sharing their expertise, and of course the participants have been great so far. I'm going to go straight to Dr. Sandra Chowdhury and ask you, what's your view actually on the participants today? Do you think they've been answering the question as you had anticipated, or do you think they missed something?
I think most of them were very energetic. I mean, one of the important things is to maximize revenue and to minimize cost. And I think most, especially the youngsters that are coming up, our future generation, mentioned the key aspects, which were to create a brand name, market it well, and keep the loyalty of customers. I think those things are really important. And I love the energy, especially of some of the participants. You know, having the brand name on their sort of clothes are very important. Making sure that interior design that is timeless is very important, because those things do add up. People come from an uplifting experience.
Yeah.
And when they come, they should go away feeling good, not feeling, you know, qualms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think everybody's done well.
Touching on that, actually, about interior designing, I'm going to come to Mr. Kondakar and ask you, do you know now, I mean, nearly every participant that we've had on, they've spoken about, you know, designing it has to be up to date. But do you not feel that sometimes we're missing that classic restaurant feel because it's becoming so modernized?
I witnessed the nearly 4.5 decade designing.
Okay.
Taj Mahal designing. Then again, fusion, Taj and British style designing, then fully contemporary designing.
Yeah.
Then I witnessed the really dark, people used to come with the torchlight, see the menu. Yeah, and I witnessed the modern designing as well. Designing is important. Definitely it's important. It's definitely important. When you go to a curry house, you are absolutely right. You need a touch of Asiatic design and fusion design, because this curry we cannot call it anymore Indian or Bangladeshis or any South Asian curry. It is a British curry. It's a brand. And designing has to be like a British curry branding. You have to take it seriously, this thing.
Yeah.
And in 1980s, people used to spend half of their money for designing. Me, personally, I will not go for this now. Because with competition now with different cuisine, I think a lot of people were saying about the brandings, but today's subject is the financial planning.
Yeah.
We got taxation, Sanarwa is here.
Yeah.
We got buying, leads, rent. And cheaper buying is not the main things, the quality buying as well. So I'm sorry, you have to go to your judges, but what I'm saying that quality, cost cutting is a two different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So we have to take notice everything, but main target, we have to know that we are making money. Most of us don't know that we are making money.
When you say most of us don't know we are making money, how do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mustn't say this, but I'll say this on air. When the VAT bill comes, we are on all in problems.
Yeah.
When the tax bill comes year ending, we are all in problem. So if we know about our financial status of the business, if we know about our cash flow projection, why we should be in a problems?
Yeah.
That means we are not worried about our the standard of profit. Yeah. I was watching your it's crystal clean. Your DVD was.
Yes.
8% profit. But touch wood, how many we are making even 8% profit? I mean, it's nothing shame or. I must say that we only know the profit. I will say we are stealing from the till. Simple as this.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm very much honest because end of the year we're always in a problem. Myself, including myself. I'm not excluding myself.
Yeah.
So this is the great show. We must know about our financial planning.
Absolutely. Thank you. On that note, I'm going to go straight to Kamran Ali. And actually, as an accountant yourself, you must have lots of businesses. And I'm going to touch on what Mr. Kondakar said there about when you get that VAT bill right at the end of the year and they come to you crying on the door. Why are they in this position and what can they do to rectify this?
Yep. Unfortunately, there's a lot of lack of cash flow planning. So this is where most restaurants tend to vary in sales week to week, month to month. So during the Christmas period, you might have an increase in sales. During summer periods, it's quieter. So there needs to be some planning where there's sort of a year ahead cash flow forecast, I think Rajgate, he talked about contingency plans, having overdraft facilities available. But if we plan ahead like anything and you have resources, a decent bank balance so that you can cover quieter periods or when the VAT and the tax bills come, then that's the way to do it,
Thank you. Now, I'm going to go straight to our financial broker, should I say, and ask you actually to Cedric, how easy is it to actually go to the bank and say, okay, I am in trouble right now and I need a loan to help me out of this, or I need an overdraft. How easy is it for us to do that now? In this day and age?
Well, it's very difficult now because
you're right.
Yeah, banks like to lend to successful businesses. And obviously, if you've got more problems and your cash flow's poor, financial planning, which everyone's been mentioning about financial planning, if you haven't got the financial planning, if you haven't got the cash flow forecasts, it's very difficult for a bank manager to look at what you're doing and then lend to get you out of trouble.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of businesses will fall flat.
So do you think it's really important to have an up-to-date business plan?
Very important.
And have a cash flow plan actually, and also have receipts, etc., to actually show your outgoings and
I think it's very,
incomes?
very important to have that cash flow, to have obviously forecasting for the next coming quarter.
Yeah.
As you said, seasons are important. There are good times of the year where you can bank money and ease out the next sort of 6 months. And that's what a lot of people don't do. Say the VAT bill will come in, tax return will come in, and they haven't planned for it.
So for those watching at home or our participants, is there a good time for us or a season to go to the bank or financial brokers for a bit of help?
when you're successful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come straight to Mr. Huck. Mr. Huck, how important is it when it comes to branding? I don't think enough people mentioned about budgeting around branding. I think only 2 participants touched on that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many restaurants. Very good idea, good concept. You know, they've worked really hard to set it up, but what they haven't got is a budgeting plan. So, for example, what happens
for marketing and
what if calculations? So something has gone down. They haven't got the business.
Yeah.
They haven't got the marketing budget. I mean, I know you said 3%, but you know, sometimes you need up to 10% marketing budget to make it happen, especially at the beginning of the stage. So if the customer don't know you've got a really good product, you have something different, signature dishes or whatever you have, but you must have a marketing budget.
So
that's
what
happening.
hacks do you think you can share with us? Like, are there any hacks that you can do when it comes to marketing?
Well, again, there are many ways you can do marketing. Now, obviously, we are living in a world of technologies with a touch of buttons. Now, that doesn't cost a lot of money utilizing what you have.
Yeah.
For example, if you invested on a small EPOS system, you can collect the data, send emails. For example, the SMS marketing is quite cheap. Facebook, social media marketing, especially, it doesn't cost to look for your local customer, make a friend within a page. You can do it on your spare time, and then, you know, if you got a special offer, you can do that type of marketing. So there's so much you could do. I mean, we've given tips on most of our programs, especially dedicated program for marketing branding.
Yeah.
And if viewers watch it on YouTube or just follow about 10-20%, I think there will be big improvement as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Huck. Hulya, coming to you now, queen of when it comes to the chef industry. But you know what? A few of the participants mentioned about budgeting around the menu, but they had to be prompted. Now, how important is that?
It's really key, actually. You've got to understand the cost of your dish, you know, and so many times I go into restaurants and I meet people who are running businesses and they actually don't know the cost of each individual item that goes into making that dish, creating that dish, whether it's a chicken tikka masala or a shish kebab or whatever it is, you know, a curry or a you know, a macaroni cheese. You've got to understand in portion control, you've got to understand how much your customer is going to eat, what your customer is going to get, and then make sure that you calculate that down to the last penny, so that you know completely when that customer orders that roast chicken, how much it costs you to make the roast chicken, each potato, each vegetable. That way you can then budget yourself, you know, so if you can't then buy into a fancy cost management system, because technology is quite important really in the food sector actually, and I was on a panel recently to discuss technology. It was London Food Tech Week last week, and technology actually is quite crucial nowadays, I think, in helping businesses manage. But obviously if you are a small business and you haven't got that sort of money, then it is really important
when
to
you say technology, are you talking about systems or
systems? Yeah, all kinds of systems. There's also the most basic systems, such as having like something like a you know, just using iPads or whatever, through to a proper full-on waste management application, say waste management system, so that you calculate how much food you're losing, how much waste you're making, and then obviously having things like an EPOS system. So I mean, I think things like that. I think in the hospitality sector we were quite slow to adopt these kinds of advanced habits, but actually when it comes down to it, in order for you to be able to save ultimately in the long term, this is really the kind of things you need to be doing. But you know, if you can't afford the technology, go back to basics, get a pen and paper, calculate your dishes, work out how much your costings are, and that way slowly you can progress yourself and save yourself money to reinvest into that business.
Excellent, thank you so much. That was a lot of information, and the participants that are here today definitely take everything into account that our judges have actually said, because the next round we will be talking again about financial planning, and especially around budgeting when it comes to menu engineering and advertising, etc., how you're doing it currently and what's working for you. Yeah? Excellent. It is time for the results now. Are you guys ready for it? Oh, come on, you can do better than that. Are you guys ready for the results? Yes. Absolutely. All right. So we will be losing one of our participants today. And the results are... Oh, sorry. There we are. In first place, well actually, with 100% of the votes, we have Montaz Raj Garden, Rajgate, with 100% of the votes from the judges. Well done. Congratulations. And Basil Spice with 95% of the votes. Well done to you as well. Unfortunately, we are having to say goodbye to Bengal Lancer, who only got 5% of the votes. We do apologise. But well done, and for coming this far, actually, for being a part of today's show. Well done and congratulations. Now it is time for round 2. All right, so first up, can I have Raj Gates? It is all about your budgeting again, and you have to tell us your success stories, and actually not just your success stories, but what you're currently doing at the moment in your business and what's working for you. Share those tips, and this is where you really have to impress the judges. Are you ready for it?
How many seconds?
You only have 60 seconds for this.
Oh.
But you can do it. However, let me tell you something. Right at the end, the judges will get to ask the last 3 remaining participants some questions. So fingers crossed, I'm sure you'll be fine. Your 60 seconds start now.
Okay, so when it comes to budgeting, a review, something my dad loves doing, reviewing every day of how much we've made and what opportunities we could do to improve that. So every day, at the end of the day of the business, he says, okay, this is how much we made, this is, you know, he breaks it down. So this is exactly of how much we spent, how much we've potentially lost and potentially gained. And then after that, he sits down with his staff and says, okay, well, what else can I improve on? Like, there's always opportunities. You can't keep continuing the same thing over and over again. Unless it's doing well, keep going. But there's always other ways to improve it. Another thing he does is expect the unexpected. There are times there's going to be when something falls down the roof, like a window breaks or something like that. And we've had cases like that when customers are saying, well, this table is a bit jiggly, so we will replace that. That costs, sometimes that costs us a reputation, so we need to improve on that. Another one is, when I said in the beginning, goals. Going back to the goals. Are we achieving what we wanted to do when we first started this business? And so when we do that, we check out the menus and see where we need to improve on. And I'm going to finish off by saying thank you for your time.
No, finish off your sentence.
Oh, okay.
Finish off your sentence.
You.
I'm not that horrible.
All right, okay, so when it comes to the menu, we are always looking into providing quality food, but at the same time, what can we do to benefit us in terms of reducing our costs? So it's either buying as a bulk, but one thing we need to be key is buying fresh. Fresh is key for me. I don't like things in the fridge and then come out and then cook. No, it's got to be from today's, delivered, out in the market.
And
Thank you very
full stop.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That was a very long sentence. So there were no commas in between. And next up from Basil Spice, I have the duo. Trouble, right? Yep. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready, as I can be.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm Sadi Rahman, the younger brother of Raju, helping run the restaurant. When it comes to budgeting, we our first kind of aims was to where can we cut costs. When I walked into a restaurant, we had about 120 things on our menu. I didn't understand that, so my thing was to cut it down. Where can we spread our produce, and what can we make the most of? So we've been trying to reduce it to best sellers. What is our best sellers? What do the customers want? Like my brother said previously, we've kind of budgeted for our energy. We knew how much we were spending, where can we cut the costs, where we can go from there. Yeah, what else?
Another thing is suppliers. A lot of the items that we were getting previously was coming from one particular supplier. Now we've tried to get more local produce, so it's fresh as well, fresh produce. It's as a result of it, we've got a fishmonger who provides us the fish. We try to change our fish dishes as seasonally, so it's something for the customers to enjoy as well, as it saves us petrol from driving all the way from London back to Basildon. What other things? Also understanding Again, going back to the community that where our restaurant is based, we're looking at what the needs are. So we've got a light industry around the corner, so we ensure that we've put a lot of investment into our branding. Again, going back to that promotion, everything.
I'll let you finish this sentence.
All right, so we've established the needs of the local community. There's an industry, so we started a lunchtime box, a tiffin that we do, which has gone down a massive success. It's very cheap for us to produce. At the same time, it's maximum profit for us.
Excellent, thank you very much. Did you get the tiffin boxes with you today? Oh, that's not good. Next up from Raj Garden, Mr. Rahman.
Right, started now.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, so basically, the budgeting, business budgeting is very important. Can I speak Bengali as well? Yeah. Restaurant or main, we look after restaurant or budgeting will be very important. After the din, restaurant or expense are selling every quarter I advise kari our partner hola asin the BAT quarter lage management account kora lage to account khole you can find out what is profit you are making every quarter. So end of the year you will see what is you are making, and secondly it has to be very, your menu wise has to be see what you got in the menu. So basically menu jata sole naita obviously you have to take it out, so you just reducing your menu. And if and then you're making more, easier for the chef as well. And budgeting is very important. So I think it should be, every quarterly has to be managed, management account, and stock checking is very important. So it has to be every weekly stock checking, every monthly, and then depreciation as well have to be. You can see through your management account. So I think this is very important for the business.
Excellent, thank you so much. You have 10 seconds. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, yes, this. Not really, nothing.
No? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Just for those that didn't understand Bangla, I'm going to repeat it. Hulia, how's your Bangla, by the way? Just about there. Well, you'll learn by the end of the show today. Just to quickly go over what Mr. Rahman said, expense is very, very important to him. Every quarterly, he actually sits with his accountant and his partners, and they go through a budgeting plan, and they see their costs and where they are with regards to finance. They also have a menu review to make sure that the menu that they are currently using is up to date and it's working for the customers around the area. And last but not least, he said he also does regular stock checks. All right, excellent. I think I did pretty well there. Can I get a round of applause for that, please? Thank you. On that note, moving on, we have from Montaz, Mr. Jube.
Okay, two things I think that are very important to us is local produce and then second, cash flow. Local produce helps us with, I'll use one example in terms of our ice cream. So we used to use a big brand ice cream companies, then we went local to where we were very well-known ice cream company. What happened in reverse was they started advertising us because they wanted to be a part of our brand. So because they were a small producer, they wanted to be part of our brand, and next thing you know, the local producers want to be a part of you, you want to be a part of them. It kind of takes up your business straight away. Another thing is cash flow. Cash flow for me is really important. I'm looking at a Rational oven, which I want to buy at the moment, but I've been to a few demonstrations. I know how expensive it is, but I'm going to wait till January until my VAT is gone, my tax return, everything is gone, until I can afford to buy this. So Rational oven I know will help me in terms of reducing staff costs and everything else, reducing labor, reducing all these things. But until my important things are paid, I can't get this in. So at the moment, my restaurant my restaurant is running nicely as it is, but I know the improvements I need to make in terms of operations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I know 60 seconds go so fast. Thank you so much for that. Now this is where it all begins again for the poor judges. Just a quick reminder, our super judges sitting on the panel, our panel judges hold 60% of the results and 40% with our special judges, so that's 5% each, which is quite a lot actually. So good luck to you all making those decisions, but I will speak to you as you add up your results. I'm going to come to our panel judges firstly. I'll start with Mr. Huck. Mr. Huck, do you think they've hit the nail correctly this time?
Yeah,
or have they missed something?
I think the budgeting is covered. One of the major things we have in any business is not doing good planning. And if you don't have a good budget, for example, we mentioned a VAT, for example, and the other taxes comes quarterly or end of the year. And then if you don't have that money, then it put you in that crisis. So it's very important budgeting. But the other thing is we have to realize is delegation to the right professionals. So sometimes we think we know it, but you know, you're no expert on that matter. So there are a lot of tips, like you know, if you consult your accountant or professionals, you get a better better understanding of how well you are doing. So meeting, planning, you know, that kind of things is very important, I would say. And they covered most of it, so it's pretty good this round.
Did they take into account? Thank you very much. Did they take into account what you said, Eli?
I think there's still a little way to go, I think, in terms of, say, use of technology and getting a hold of what you're doing. But I think, yes, in terms of the old-fashioned ways, actually, I think they're all really on point, totally. I really liked what Sidka, despite him talking in Bangla, I kind of got the gist of what he was saying.
I told you.
Yes,
Well,
I did. I was kind of got there. I'm getting there. And I did like the fact that he's talking about sitting down with his accountant, making sure that he's got a hold on things, and also involving his chef. You know, because at the end of the day, delegation is quite important, but it's also very crucial to make sure that you do involve your staff, and that's from the waiters to the chefs to everybody, to the bar staff, because everybody has to be involved. It has to be a team effort in order for you to all make sure that you're all working together to help that business grow.
Excellent, thank you so much. I'm actually going to go straight to Mr. Mukit Mia. Now, Mr. Mia, when it comes to team, like, I'm going to touch on what Hulya just said, it's really important to have that team bonding. Nobody actually touched on that. They didn't, Hulya.
No, I think they sort of mentioned that they do sit down and talk with their chef, or they sit down and they talk with the accountant, they talk with this, you know, and they try to look at, they assess. And I think it was Imtiaz said that his dad every day at the end of the day sits down and says, right, what did we do today? How much did we make today? How much did we lose today? And I would imagine that that involves the staff as well.
So having like a briefing and then a debrief at the end of the day. So if I come to you, Mr. Mia, now you have a successful business yourself. How important is it to actually be quite transparent with your team when it comes to your profits and your losses? Because I know that sometimes bosses or restaurant owners or anyone with any business, they don't like to be so transparent about their profits or their losses. How important is that?
Yeah, it is important up to a certain extent. Obviously, you don't need to disclose your exact profit or anything, but obviously your staff need to know the losses.
But not your profits?
No, not all of it. I mean, you know, it's not something that everybody in everyday business would actually disclose, you know. But as a limited company, most companies are, you know, it's all in the accounts, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they will know. So to me, it's very important that the staff is aware of where the losses are incurring, what sort of products they need to sell more to their customers, which has more profitability.
Yeah.
Those sort of things I think needs to be mentioned and be part of the team bonding, you know, when we're speaking to the staff.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. I'm going to go straight to Mr. Kondaka. Mr. Kondaka, obviously talking about financial budgeting and talking about menu managing, etc. Do you think they actually... Well, actually, no, let's change this. Why don't I ask you something quite... you don't be diplomatic, but I'll ask you the question. Who do you think really hit the nail for you when it came to sharing their success story around what's working for them with regards to their budgeting? Out of the participants, who do you think really did well for you in this round?
Shall I tell?
Yes, tell us.
I think Siddiq has done well.
Okay, yeah. Sadiq did pretty well. Why? Why do you think that is?
Because he was talking about his budget. Budget means it's not in one word. Budget means your finance, your food, your buying, your electricity, your gas, your living, your staff. He hasn't hit all of it.
Yes.
but most of it he touched because in our time we used to see our accountant once a year. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
But our accountant is most important to tell us which way we are going.
Yeah.
And
so is it very important to have a good relationship with your accountants? Yeah.
And he got to tell me, he got to advise me. I'm paying my chef. He got to sit down every week and tell me what is the problem I've got.
Yeah.
For example, my next door neighbor Thai restaurant do business same as me, and they use only 3 or 4 bags of onion. Why I should have to use 10 bags of onion? I need to ask my chef.
Yeah.
And regular, constant staff.
Yeah.
If you don't have a constant staff, I think in this age we don't use the pig bins.
Okay.
But once upon a time, pig farm was relying the so-called Indian restaurants. Wasting is so much.
Okay.
Waste management, we don't know at all about this.
Yeah, very important.
If you tell chef, even if I tell my chef, look, this is too much, what he will do? He'll take it out, put it in a bin. Every time you bring the food from your table, half of it not even eaten. The another things that all of them touch is the menu engineering. Yeah? We got 120 dishes in the menu. We don't need it. Do we need it?
No.
We don't need it.
No, no.
We wanted to have a good food with a good amount of profit. We don't want to waste our time.
Yeah.
We don't want to feed 120 people. We rather feed 50 people because of the staff crisis. We can save our money from the staff wages.
Yeah, absolutely.
This gentleman said the staff should know about the losses. I don't have to share my profits with them. It's my private. But if I'm not comfortable, I won't be able to, keep running this restaurant. And this is their bread and butter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. I will be speaking to the special judges a bit later on again, especially about the next round. But it is time for the results. Are you all ready again? I need to hear it. Come on. Yeah. Right. We will be losing one of the participants here, and only 3 will make it through to round 3. Now, the winners for this round are... Right, in first place with 95% of the votes, we have Raj Gate. Congratulations. Second place, Montaz with 80% and Basil Spice in third place with 70%. Congratulations. However, we are having to say goodbye to Raj Garden, but once again, congratulations for coming this far, Mr. Rahman. You did absolutely brilliant. And actually, I've got to say, the judges loved what you had to say about budgeting, and you definitely shared your tips with the audience and the participants here today. We are going to go on to round 3, but after a quick break. Welcome back to the Catering Circle Season 2. We are on round 3 and I'm super excited because we have only 3 participants remaining and only 2 will make it through to the business conference in 2018. And our judges have to really vote carefully here because from 3 you can only take 2 through to the business conference next year. And I know that our participants have been absolutely brilliant. Don't forget you can watch the show back on YouTube after it's been aired, and of course don't forget you can follow us on social media, the Catering Circle. But right now I'm going to go to our judges before we move on to round 3, and I'm going to start off with Mr. Malik right there. And Mr. Malik, I mean, you know, you're the director of Bluestone Cover, and when it comes to insurance, you're a commercial insurance expert. How important, quite a few participants haven't actually talked about insurance, licensing, how they budget around that. How important is it and what tips would you like to share?
Okay, insurance is a legal requirement to carry any business in the UK, and it's a mandatory requirement as well. Right. In the event of any claims, you could be fined up to £2,500 a day for not insuring your business. So any business, when it comes down to budgeting, they must it must be one of the mandatory list.
Yes.
To insurance premium. So I would say to the participant, I mean, who came along this evening, they've all been brilliant, and they've mentioned budgeting, and insurance is one of the things that they need to consider.
Yeah. Absolutely. And is there any tips you'd like to share with them? How can they know what the best insurance is, or how to go and get a license at the best price possible?
Okay. Nowadays, comparison sites.
Yes.
As we all know, Google's comparison sites gives you the best premium, and it's quite easily achieved as well.
Yeah. Excellent, thank you so much. We also have Mr. Ahmed with us, who's a corporate financial analyst. Now, you know, when it comes to business banking, I know I spoke to Cedric about loans and overdrafts, but opening a bank account, how accessible is that?
I think opening a bank account is really accessible. It's really accessible. You know, all the major leading banks now are really wanting to drive small businesses and make them achieve their success story. So it's with the bank's agenda, working with the government, they really want small businesses to achieve you know, their plans and their future, etc. And it's really, really, I think what banks are doing now are they want to work closely with small businesses and have a one-to-one relationship banking service. So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. And of course, for those of you at home that are wondering, you know, where do I get information? Obviously, go online, find all the information, and there are other search engines you can use to find comparison sites. Okay, I think we're ready for round 3. Is there anything the panel judges would like to advise our participants?
Well, cost saving and increased revenue is one of the things we always highlight in Catering Circle every single episode, because the way to survive in this industry, especially when there's so much competition, is you need to save cost and at the same time increase revenue. And you want to use all the tools available on the market, including technology, including staff rota calculation, everything available on the market to save cost. And today we like to see what's happening with the financial planning, what tips they can give us, and really doing to cost save the industry.
And to talk about things like raising their costs with regards to their profit margins, how they're doing.
Yeah, it's also about investment. Sometimes it's not about just saving. So you invest on something, for example, a training, a few £100, but you're getting on a long time, a long return from your staff, especially from wastage and other things. I'm talking about different small investment but big returns, but overall you're saving money, and that's what we're looking at.
Excellent. It is time for round 3 now. So this is where you have to talk about your revenue increase and how you've been saving your costs. And first up, we have from Rajgate, Imtiaz.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
never. Let's just do this.
You have 60 seconds. The time starts now.
Okay, so one thing a lot of people like to think is cost saving is cutting. One thing we do is increase training. Our staff get guaranteed training at least once a week on anything that I spotted, or my father, or our customers and our staff alone, to give feedback on what needs improving. So we do provide training every week to make sure that that productivity is there. Secondly is technology. I work in technology. I love technology. I'm surrounded in technology. So we have, I wouldn't say it's an ERP system, but it's a small ERP system which manages human resources, manages costs, where we can improve on. And we do use other platforms as a marketing tool, I would say, rather than a sales revenue. I mean, it is a sales revenue, such as other online selling apps. Increasing profit margin, I do always say that you should try to reduce your costs as much as you can through multiple ways, either having a relationship. That's what we do primarily, building a relationship with our customers, with our suppliers, and making sure that we got the best.
I'm going to let you finish the last point.
Finally,
take your time.
I want to say that as much as all these are important, the individual, the owner, I don't believe in managers, I believe in leaders. You need to really be out there to really make that work. And I think my father, who really does put his head down and he will make sure he gets it done, is the reason why restaurants succeed, or his restaurant succeeds.
Oh, bless. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done. Next up from Basil Spice, we have the two brothers, the Rahmans. Please make your way. You ready for this?
Yep.
Your time starts now.
So one of the things the brother earlier on just said, like, we do invest a lot of time with our staff. One of the things, it's a very small thing, but tips. We gave our staff tips, and some of the staff that have received tips, it's the first time they've ever received it. So it's a huge incentive for them to be involved and make sure that they're giving their 100%. We always encourage them to give us their understanding of where we're going wrong as well. We make them, empower them, make them in charge of certain areas within the restaurant. For example, stock check. Regularly they're checking their stock. Regularly they're planning ahead. Vegetables, but some vegetables, for example, we can't buy 2 weeks in advance, but there are certain goods that we can buy in a month advance, and it's there ready for us. Yeah, done. Cool. So what other things do we do?
Let's not have a fight, the boys.
Yeah.
Come on, come forward and talk now.
Yeah, no, we regularly do our weekly financials. We know how much we're making, we know how much we're not making, and we try and cater to that. So it's small things like vegetables.
Yeah.
If certain things will get overused, or is very busy one week where it's out of stock, and then you're gonna have to buy more the next week. So we're trying to keep it in rotation.
Excellent.
Where we can budget for our packaging that's going to come in big bulk in 3 weeks' time, but then we've got everyday, weekly items that we have to keep going.
Brilliant. I'll let you finish the last point.
Yeah, I was just
quickly.
going to say, like reducing the quantity of portions as well. That's one of the things that we regularly speak to our chef about. We always speak to him about quality is most important, but people eat with their eyes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, if it looks good on a plate, we can reduce it. Like,
I
why
don't
not?
know. I think I'd beg to differ. My husband would be different, I think.
But yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well done. Last but not least, Montaz, I have Ziaul Chaudhry. Zubair back on stage. Are you ready for this?
I think so. Not enough time though.
I know, but the judges will get to ask you a question. 60 seconds start now.
Okay, first things we've done is increase prices. Increase prices, the only way you can increase prices if you have quality products. I think, like I said, local producers are the most important thing. The way we keep our waste reduction as well, using local producers, they deliver to us 2 or 3 times a day, a week, so we don't need to keep a lot of things in stock. Technology as well, EPOS systems. We've got Pebble Iron, sorry. Got Pebble Iron. That saved us a lot of time, but before that, I don't know how we managed, if you know what I mean. So things like the equipment, kitchen equipment, rational machines, onion cutters, all these sort of equipments are so important to reducing costs, because dishwasher in the kitchen and stuff like that, it saves you water, everything else. So in terms of maximizing profit, we're in Newmarket, horse racing industry. We sponsor one of the races. It costs us a lot of money, but we factor that into our rent. So at the end of the year, that's part of our rent, but that increases our revenue so much because we get all the people from behind the industry coming to use our restaurant. And our staff are obviously ambassadors of our business, so they have to be forefront of everything.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to ask you to stay there, and if I could please request the rest of our participants to make their way to the stage, please. If I could request you all to make your way. Thank you very much. Right, this is where the judges get to put them in the firing line, literally, and ask them anything you want to ask. But please, we must, nothing personal, okay? So I'll start with our panel judges. Mr. Huck, is there a question that's burning you right now that you need to ask?
Yeah, in terms of investment, anyone if you can go, you invested on technology or marketing. Just tell us how much do you think you got in terms of return from it? Because what's more important is a lot of us, when we're cost cutting, we're not doing the right investment. And overall, we don't then make up money. So long term, you lose out. So have you done any projections in terms of investment against return?
Is this for the Rahman brothers?
Anyone can go.
So yeah, we budget out how much we're going to spend on marketing certain events. So we do events every so often. So there's Christmas budgets and whatnot. We do leaflets, the old school sort of thing. But then we try and make the most of free marketing opportunities. So we use Facebook heavily and Instagram. With Facebook, you can literally identify your location, people that are into curry, people whatnot. We try and exploit these avenues where we can get free marketing going on. But yeah, we do have a budget for how much we spend on marketing. We know exactly how much that is, but we try and make the most of free platforms.
Also, I was going to say where you might be spending a couple of £1,000 on printing menus and flyers and so on. So on Facebook, for £100, you can have targeted marketing. For the whole week, you can set every day you want this to come out.
But are there any risk factors in that?
Risk factors in the term, for us, we haven't experienced any risk factors. For us, it's got to places where we thought it would never go. We've got a huge target audience. There's only so many doors you can knock at and put a leaflet through. But with Facebook and Instagram, so and so, it's gone above and beyond for us.
Excellent, thank you so much. I know our special judges also has a question. Mr. Iqbal Hussain, I know you have a question. Who would you like to direct the question to?
Anyone. To be honest, I'd like all of you to answer it, if possible.
I'll let you choose one person.
Okay, I'd like, is it Imtiaz?
Yes.
Imtiaz to answer this question. A lot of the time you spoke about, or especially your father, is always reducing and finding ways to cut costs, etc. How do you ensure you don't compromise on the quality of the produce and service?
I think that's a fantastic question. One thing, just as a starting point, for example, technology. Technology nowadays is now becoming more affordable to allow people to have more of a better experience. For example, a light bulb. You know, we now have all LED light bulbs. We don't believe in the normal standard really costly light bulbs. That alone, just having LED light bulbs just brightens up the place. Secondly is, when we say we're going to cut down on certain things, it means we're getting at a better deal. We negotiate. We don't say, okay, you know, this is a second-hand thing, we're just going to put it on. It's, okay, you're going to offer me £100 for this. Well, you know, give me 50% discount, and if he says no, then let's figure out midpoint to where we can get a better cost that meets our needs. One thing that I do is everything needs to be measurable. We need to make sure that we are meeting what the changes that we made. For example, once the LED lights, for example, our customers have said, wow, this place looks bright, it looks bigger. And the restaurant itself is, you know, it's not a large restaurant, it is a small, medium-sized business. But just the fact that a little change like that make a difference. In terms of food, one thing I said earlier was freshness. I don't compromise on freshness, especially within the industry that we're in today. You know, one thing I realized is that I see people just putting things in fridges and then putting it out and then just cooking it. I mean, that's not fresh. Yes, you preserved it, but it's not that amazing quality. Now, to get that financial needs, what we do is we have a relationship with our suppliers, and we said, like, you know, give us a good deal.
I'm going to get you to hurry up a little bit.
And I'm going to give us a good deal. We're going to make sure, you know, we have that relationship with our suppliers to say that we're going to meet. You know, we've got a good deal with you. You give me a good deal, I'll give you a good deal back. Simple.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, it's great. Thank you. Ever thought about becoming a politician? Just a thought. Just a thought. Mr. Chowdhury, I know you have a burning question.
Right. I think it's wonderful to see such well-spoken participants. It bodes well for our catering industry. Financial planning. Obviously, that 8% comes after having paid tax, and you pay an awful lot of tax, up to about 25% is payable in various taxes within the restaurant. And you've got to really use the tax man in order to pay some of those bills, pay for your car, pay for your home office and various other things. So you can actually take advantage of the taxman to pay some of your bills. So if I could ask the Montage restaurant owner, explain to me how you have used the taxman in order to help your business.
Well, we have 2 company cars straight away. So 2 company cars that run our business. So one for the manager, one for the owner. In terms of going out everywhere, I think you're always researching. So our part of our business, because we're so passionate about it, we're always working. So if I'm always working, if I'm going to somewhere to eat in London, so a Michelin star Indian restaurant, then that bill is in my because it's part of research. So if I'm using the petrol to go there, if I'm going to a restaurant show to go on, before back in the days we used to go to a restaurant show, spend £100, and that £100 come out of my pocket, but not anymore. This is, this is how every receipt, everything that we have, because like I said, we work as a 24-hour business. You're constantly researching, for new machinery, new ways of doing things. So you have to claim that back as part of your life, because if I'm working all night, then I need to claim that back as my life. So like I said, eating out, dining out, company cars, everything is all part of it, because we're using it for our business.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to stop you there. Thank you very much. Hulya, do you have any questions for our...
I do, actually. Sorry to put Montaz Restaurant back on the spot there, but because you talked about increasing prices, and obviously this is something I guess you all got something to say on, but where you increased your prices so much in this industry, a lot of restaurateurs are sometimes scared to increase their prices because they're frightened they're going to lose market share, their customers are going to leave, or whatever it is, regulars, they're going to lose their regulars. When you increased your prices, did you say anything to your customers? Was it blatantly obvious? How did you approach that and instill that?
Yeah, so when we opened 8 years ago, we went to the market, seen all the other restaurants. Because we designed our restaurant in such a way, we were doing a premium product. We were 20% probably higher than everybody else. So eventually, as time went by, over the years and everything, as time went by, we've seen the clientele that's coming into our restaurant. So the clientele want a better product. So we give you a better product. We'll give you a better product, but obviously it's coming at an increased price. So if we're going seasonal, that's an increased price. If I'm going local produce, all these factors, that local produce, seasonal, and all these things, the image of the restaurant, the image of your menu has... So customers don't mind that if they're getting a quality product. So at the moment, I would say in our town, we're double the price of anybody else. Wow. So probably everybody else is selling at £6, we're selling at £12 for a basic curry. My special dishes are going out at £17, £18, plus they have to order rice on top of that, naan on top of that. But it's presentation, how the presentation is done, how your staff are dressed. It's not just the plate on the food, how they're serving the customers. So everything factors into it, the training, everything that comes into it, presentation of everything. My wine glasses are expensive wine glasses, my cutlery is expensive, so the whole brand image is expensive. So I can produce a more expensive menu.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cam, Ali, I know you have a question.
Yes, a question to Rajgate.
Hello.
Hi. So have you ever done a break-even analysis at all for your business, and how do you go about doing it then?
Okay, so when it came to break-even, so something my dad always used to tell me back in the days, in the olden days, which I like to consider, he said to me that we used to have something called a markup. He always used to say, well, we're going to have, this is what we're going to have, and this is where it is. Now he believes that there's no such thing as a markup. He just doesn't believe in that concept. I think it's just because the times have changed. Now what he does is, because there's so many variable costs, we have something like a special dish every quarter. We change that because we want to be different. We want to bring uniqueness to our business to stand out. But that variable cost, when we do that analysis, we try to understand, like, well, this is what it's going to cost me to sell. What is it actually going to cost me to buy as a customer, for example? So we do a quick analysis on how much each product costs. That can be done through when you're buying the initial stock. In the initial stock, and then my dad has, he sits down with his staff. I'm not saying my dad's perfect. He is a great guy. He's a lovely guy, but he's not the world's expert. He works with his
You
partners.
are definitely not sleeping at home tonight.
I love you, Dad.
You better hope your restaurant's comfortable.
But one thing he does have is the drive and the passion. So which is one of the reasons why he is successful today in managing multiple restaurants. But when it comes to breaking down analysis, he does a forecast, a breakdown on where am I today if I'm meeting my targets.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kantakar, do you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, I mean, I must congratulate all of them. They're very talented. Being a leader of this industry, I'm really amazed and very pleased to see you guys are running this industry and you are taking the responsibility to run this industry, to save this industry. But my one question is to all of you. I mean, like, I have to specify. Okay, I'll pick him. It's fine. No, don't worry about it. It's okay. Or middle guy, Raju can answer me that the wine and alcohol is one of the big part in your business, and I think about 25 to 30% sometimes. Not the niche market like his business, normal business. yeah. About 30% comes from the wine and alcohol. Do we need any expertise for this? For the taste? Do we need any expertise for the pricing? Being a Muslim, we are not very good on this side, but do you think, because nobody has touched these things yet?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, anybody, you can answer. Go on.
So we use a company called, sorry, I'm just throwing out names here. Matthew Clark.
Okay.
So Matthew Clark, they are a little bit more expensive, but what they've done for us is kept us on trend in terms of wines, gins, whiskies, and everything else. And also the training they provided us is with fruit. So they came to us, none of us drink, so they gave us strawberries, kiwis, these sort of things that taste like wines with food. So what they did was train us, well, this is a Malbec or something. If you have this fruit with that food, that's what it will taste like. So what they did with us with fruit, they enhanced our flavors to taste it with the food, and that's how we got the comparison. So our staff was trained in that. So I think using reputable...
What's the feedback?
I mean, the staff are trained. You know, the staff can basically trained. They're not completely like sommeliers or anything like that, but they're basically trained. Well, if I eat a strawberry and if I eat this meat curry, I'm going to get that flavor. So they can recommend something which is similar to that wine, you know. So that's how we are. So I think using reputable companies who have advanced, like in everything.
I'm going to let you finish this off. Yeah, no, it's fine.
In everything, accountants, they're the experts. Interior designers, they're the experts. Winemakers, they're the experts. Local producers, they're the experts. Use them to utilize your business.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. There you go, you got a round of applause there. I won't take any more questions. However, because we are actually calculating the results at the moment. So whilst we wait for the results to come through, I'd like to ask from our special judges if they could share some tips with our audience at home when it comes to financial planning and budgeting. So I'll start with Mr. Mir. What is that one thing that you think a business needs to take into account?
I'd like to touch up on insurance because that's my background.
Go for it.
One thing I've seen is statistically, a lot of restaurants, especially takeaways, ignore the fact that they need to insure restaurants. One of the biggest problems we've got is, even if they are insuring it, are they insuring with the right insurer? I know one of the judges mentioned going on the co-comparison site, but I actually sort of disagree with that because it's quite a specialist field. You need to go to a broker, a commercial broker, and actually get good advice because it can get your business insured in various different ways, and it's not actually expensive. It is quite inexpensive, but it's very important that you look for A-rated insurers and non-European insurers because we've had some really bad experience in the past with European insurers.
Thank you very much. The accountants, one tip, literally one tip. Give me a tip.
Rent is one of the most expensive, probably the biggest expense for restaurants. So my tip is, if the freehold ever came up for opportunity to purchase, then purchase it, because that could end up being more valuable than all the profits you make over the years. So that's my tip, to acquire the building of the restaurant, you know.
Thank you very much.
My tip would be to use that 25% that you pay to the tax man and use that heavily in order to help your business and help yourself.
What about overhead costs when it comes around to overhead costs? Like, how would you?
All of those are adjustable. You see, a lot of times what we worry about is we have to pay VAT. Well, a lot of things can be offset against VAT, but you just need the proper advice in order to make sure that you're doing that. So what we've done so far is needs to change. And I think the newer generation are already starting to learn that. Because everything can be offset against the taxman. Get them to pay a lot of your bills.
Thank you very much. Thank you on that note. I'm going to go to our panel judges now to share their tips. So, Mr. Huck, what would you like to say?
Firstly, I would say knowledge is power. So especially we've concentrated whole program. The first program we've done is menu engineering. That's the source of income. Now, when you have a lot of money coming in, you can then delegate professional accountant, PR, and so on. But so important that you bring in the money in. So menu engineering, that's where I would say concentrate. But no, even if you're losing money on your menu items, at least you know, so you can make up for it on other dishes like signature dishes. So menu is the key. Make sure you spend, invest good amount of money on menu engineering, and at least you know that you're losing money so that you can make up money on the other dishes.
Thank you very much, Julia.
I would say don't bury your head in the sand. Be aware of what's going on in your industry. Check out food trends, healthy eating, allergy-free stuff, which some of you mentioned anyway. Be
I'm going to make
abreast
it
of
quite
that.
quick
sorry.
because we are running out of time.
Don't bury your head in the sand. Be aware of all the latest things going on in your industry.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm totally getting shouted at the moment because we are running out of time and we've had a great time here today. It is time for the results. Are you guys ready? Yes? No? Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. And the results are in first place with 100% of the votes. We have Montaj. Congratulations, Mr. Jubair. And with 55%, don't be a sore loser. With 55%, we have Basil Spice. Congratulations, brothers. And so close, Imtiaz. Well done, Raj Gate with 45%. Honestly, well done. Well done for coming this far. Congratulations to the winners. There we have it. We have come to the end of the show and I haven't spoken to one of the panel judges. Would you like to say a quick 30-second goodbye and congratulations?
Quick tips, take the help from every corner.
Excellent.
That's it.
Thank you very much. That was very, very quick and in 30 seconds. Thank you very much. On that note, it is time and for me, Nadia Addy, your host of The Catering Circle, to say goodbye. And don't forget, you can catch this on YouTube and follow us on The Catering Circle. But we will be back with the last episode before the business conference in 2018 on the 21st of November. Here's the schedule. Take care.